On this episode of O'Fallon Matters, see how City of O'Fallon snow fighters are gearing up for winter weather emergencies. Meet a resident with a unique hobby in his backyard. Then find out what it's like to be a paramedic with the St. Charles County Ambulance District. All this and more coming up on O'Fallon Matters. Welcome to O'Fallon Matters. Our first story takes us to South O'Fallon, where one restaurant owner decided to open his doors to the least fortunate in our community on Thanksgiving. Joe Meyer has this heartwarming story.
The Brass Rail owner, Scott Ellinger, entered the restaurant business years ago with a passion for serving his customers delicious food. A few years ago, Scott decided to open up the restaurant on Thanksgiving for family and staff so they could enjoy the day without any customers to serve. But that didn't last long because Scott wanted to give back to the community he loves.
Last year, we ended up opening it up to some people from the community, and it worked out great. We served about 175 people and decided that we could expand it this year. So we decided that 1,000 was the right number and rolled it out, and the community's just been amazing.
On a warm, sunny Thanksgiving afternoon, the Brass Rail opened their doors to those who were in need of a hot meal and a little comfort. The scene was joyous as volunteers and patrons enjoyed juicy turkey along with creamy mashed potatoes. Scott and his team had a goal of feeding over 1,000 people, and they accomplished this by serving meals at the Brass Rail and delivering to folks throughout the community.
Oh, it's wonderful. The food is just delicious, and I had nowhere else to go, so somebody told me about here, and so I came, and it's wonderful.
For the past month, Scott has worked with local volunteers and community organizations to make sure everyone could get a hot meal. There were local chefs helping out in the kitchen, plus volunteers pitched in to clean and serve food. In fact, Super Smokers Barbecue came up from Eureka and delivered a smoked hog.
This is the time where everybody should be thankful for all their blessings. And when Scott brought the idea to me, I was like, what a great way to actually show everyone how blessed you truly are.
Without the help of dedicated volunteers, this charitable feast wouldn't happen.
I love people. I'm a very family-oriented person, and I feel like this is a good cause, so it makes me feel good knowing that I'm doing stuff for people in need.
Don't really have a lot of chances like this, so it makes me feel great, and I'm just glad to be helping out.
It's not often that a business owner decides to open his doors to those who are in need. But for Scott, it's all about genuine gratitude for his community.
I've been in the restaurant business for a long time, and years ago when I started this business plan, it was always an idea to try and be a member of the community and give back. And this community has been so supportive of our restaurant. We've been able to expand, continue to grow, and continue to stay busy. And it's just sort of a moral obligation, I think, to try and give back to the community that supports you.
Thanks to Scott and his loyal volunteers for making the day bright for those who needed a good hot meal on Thanksgiving.
After we visited the Brass Rail on Thanksgiving, we found out that Scott ended up feeding well over his stated goal of 1,000 people. Well done. Next on O'Fallon Matters, we'll check in with O'Fallon's snow fighting crew to see how they are preparing for the next big snowfall of the year.
The City of O'Fallon snow removal crews spend all year prepping for severe winter weather events. In fact, our snow fighters plow over 700 lane miles. During full-scale operations, each shift can have up to 46 drivers. And being prepared for winter snow plowing starts in the spring and leads all the way up to Snow Fighter Training Day.
A lot goes into it. We do a lot of hard work, like looking at maps and making sure that we're doing everything as efficient as possible and just different ways of doing things. We go to different trainings to stay up on the new technologies and the different types of liquids that we use. We also communicate with neighboring cities just to kind of see how they do things.
Snow fighters are called out to cover 12-hour shifts during large winter weather events. And it's important that each employee understands policy and procedure when it comes to snow plowing.
We do a little diagnosis with them, so if something like happens, we tell them shake a wire, make sure something's plugged in. And of course the safety things, make sure things are strapped down, bolts aren't missing. And maybe in a previous plow session, somebody could have damaged the truck, so they look for damage from the last plow truck and document that, just go through those things.
So it's really important to have everyone on the same page and have the same proper training. That way they're not going into a bunch of snow and not knowing what to do, and then they can always refer to the route leaders and the veterans who've plowed for years.
Learning from past snow events translates into improved training for the following year.
Well, every year we try to better ourselves, and we look at the past year and say, okay, what worked, what didn't work. We all get together and communicate to each other what's some different things we can do. And then some guys, they don't plow every single year, so it's good to refresh them, because you get seat time, plow 7 times a year, you're not getting a lot of seat time. So sometimes it takes 2-3 years before you're actually getting efficient at being a snow plower, because it's all time. You gotta get time in the seat and just learn the techniques. It's not just something you can tell somebody and they just adapt to. You actually physically do it to get good.
After hours of detailed snow training, snow fighters get together for an old-fashioned chili cook-off.
It's just good to get everybody together and kind of an appreciation, luncheon, and it also helps put faces to names. So when people go out there, they actually know who they're talking to, or what they're what they're actually talking about.
It's good to know that the city of O'Fallon and their skilled snow fighters are always preparing for the next big winter weather emergency. And remember to stay tuned to O'Fallon Matters for all of those important winter weather updates. If you would like to find out more information on O'Fallon's snowplowing procedures, you can go to www.ofallon.mo.us.
Train tracks and flower beds go hand in hand in our next story. We're heading over to the Berkshire Downs neighborhood to see one resident's unique garden railroad.
Sometimes on O'Fallon Matters, we get to bring you stories from the community that are just plain neat. Today's story takes us to the backyard of O'Fallon resident John Mosley. In 2009, John had a choice in front of him. He could focus his attention on his love for gardening, growing beautiful arrangements of flowers and plants. Or he could work with model railroads, tinkering away over tracks and engines. So, John took the third option and combined his two passions into one massive garden railroad.
I was always interested in railroading, and I found a garden railroad club, and I was always interested in gardening, and I kind of put the two together, so I decided to build a railroad in the backyard and kind of do both hobbies at the same time. Actually, I'm more interested in gardening than I am in railroading, so I've always liked flower gardening and plants and everything. It's just getting out in the fresh air and planting things and watching them grow. A lot of guys like to build a railroad in their basement, so I liked it out in the yard so you can have realistic plants and trees and be a lot more realistic.
As you can imagine, putting a garden railroad in your backyard was quite the endeavor. Over 2 years, the blank green canvas of grass began to take shape, revealing the features that would soon come to dominate the garden railroad's center. John planned out a pair of main tracks, which would allow him to run 2 trains at the same time. With the help of his friends, he installed bridges and tunnels, and plenty of scenery. And while there's always something new to add to the garden railroad, his vision had come to life. Now, engines can roar around the bend and past the waterfall. The garden railroad has been a rewarding hobby for John, and it's brought him closer to his neighbors as well.
Very good way to socialize. I met a lot of the neighbors I wouldn't have otherwise met, just coming by, and they come by and see it. I'll put a sign out in the front and say open house, trains are running, come on, stop by, so they'll stop by. And it's really nice when people walk around the side of the deck and they see it for the first time and they say, oh wow. So it's kind of, a good feeling that, people recognize all the work you've done and see the trains running, and you can really appreciate it.
It's just fun to wander around the miniature world John has created in his backyard. It's full of little details and visual jokes. Store-bought houses wouldn't cut it for John. His buildings are custom built with the help of his friends, which gives him something to do during the winter when he can't tinker with the tracks. When he isn't naming shops after his relatives, they showcase his sense of humor, full of puns and joke titles. And he's always adding something new to the tracks, because work on a garden railroad never truly ends.
Well, there's lots of weeds to pull. You can't get away from the weeds, and you have to keep the track clean because it's track powered. The electricity comes through the track, and you clean the track. And we might, some wind blows some stuff down, or some animals come through and knock stuff over, so you got to set it back up and work on the pond. I got a pond that you have to get in the pond and fertilize the plants, so there's always something to do.
The best part about hobbies is sharing your passion with other enthusiasts, and garden railroading is no exception. John is a member of the Gateway Garden Railroad Club, and the friends he's made there have helped him develop his love for the hobby.
Well, the Gateway Garden Railroad Club, I looked on Facebook and I was interested in garden railroading, and I found their Facebook site, and we get together about once a month and have a meeting at somebody's house, and we run trains and we have a little meeting and we have something to eat, so it's a nice little get together.
Garden railroading is a rewarding hobby, and if you'd like to see what it's all about, stop by the Gateway Garden Railroad Club's website at ggrrc.org. You don't need to have anything but an interest in the hobby to meet with its members and explore garden railroading. And if you see a sign that says the trains are running, feel free to stop by and say hi to John and take a walk around his garden railroad.
It's time for a break. When we come back, we'll find out about new road projects taking place in O'Fallon. Then we'll catch up with some brave employees from the St. Charles County Ambulance District to find out what it's like to be a paramedic on the front lines of emergency care. Stay with us. You're watching O'Fallon Matters.
When I was 6, my days were spent playing basketball. When I was 6, my dream was to make it to the NBA. When I was 6, my mom had a stroke.
I'm Paul George, and I want you to spot a stroke fast.
F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911.
Protect the ones you love.
Spot a stroke fast.
Hey, did you know 2.4 million loving cats and dogs in shelters and rescues need our help to find a home? Let's go to theshelterpetproject.org and meet if you are in a shelter near you. Harlow, oh, she's one great listener and loves to hear all your stories. My kind of cat. Cerulo is a sweet, goofy boy who's eager to please. Sounds just like another dog I know. So go to theshelterpetproject.org, search your local shelters and rescues, and go for a cuddle with your next best friend. Adopt.
O'Fallon's infrastructure is always expanding and improving. Let's take a look at what our project management team is working on now and what's still ahead in 2016.
As one of the fastest growing cities in the state, O'Fallon's engineers and project managers are always busy improving our infrastructure and helping O'Fallon expand smoothly. We caught up with our assistant city engineer and project manager to take a look at what projects are wrapping up in our area.
The first project we're here to talk about today is the Woodlawn and Civic Park Drive improvement project. For this, we are repairing this roadway that hasn't been repaired in well over 10 to 15 years. We are also, the railroad bridge behind us, this bridge will be repainted with this project. That will occur in the spring. We also added this brand new sidewalk across the east side of Woodlawn to help increase the pedestrian use along this area that's more residential and also has the Civic Park right at the end of it. The second project is Elaine Drive. That was a great project that added many great features to that roadway. The first, we completely rebuilt the road, widened it out, gave a center turn lane for that roadway, which will allow all those trucks and the school traffic, give them a spot to turn left into the businesses to really improve that. The next thing that we did is we enclosed all of the ditches that were alongside the road and improved the storm sewer system. And then the last major thing we did was we added a sidewalk along the side of the road, which will help the students to walk up and down that roadway, as well as the neighboring residents to have a nice walk. On this project, we're bringing lots of great new features to this area, including a brand new outer road system that will be a one-way system, as well as interchange improvements at the Highway K and Main Street interchange and the Bellevue Creek interchange. This project will greatly help reduce congestion at that interchange and will help traffic to move more freely and more smoothly on and off the interstate and the outer road system.
One of the projects we're working on is Summers Road and Highway N intersection improvements projects. This is a project that will be adding turn lanes to the intersection of Highway N and Summers Road, as well as signal improvements and pedestrian improvements. This project is going to be a great project for students trying to get to and from the new high school that was recently built, as well as residents trying to make it through all the traffic through the intersection. The federal pavement program is a program that's federally funded that will allow for concrete slabs to be replaced on 4 different streets, as well as the asphalt resurfacing of Mexico Road between Bellow Creek and Barrington Drive. It's going to be a great project to improve sidewalks and get motorists traveling the roads. They'll have a great smooth ride on all these roads.
If you'd like more information about projects underway throughout the city, you can visit our project management page on the city's website. It's the easiest way to learn about scheduled maintenance and upcoming projects. Remember to slow down and drive safely through construction zones, and we'll make sure O'Fallon's roads remain in great condition.
It's good to know that O'Fallon's infrastructure is being upgraded now and into the future. In the meantime, O'Fallon residents can feel at ease knowing that caring paramedics are always standing by in case of an emergency. Joe is here with a look at what it's like to be a paramedic for the St. Charles County Ambulance District.
St. Charles County Ambulance District paramedics are committed to providing their patients with the highest quality of emergency medical care. On this episode of O'Fallon Matters, we had the opportunity to interview the brave EMS crew from Base 15 here in O'Fallon on what it's like to be a paramedic.
Every day you come in, you can't think that it's going to be just like the other day because every call is different, every day is different. We basically come in, our shift change starts at 7:30. We come in, we talk to the other crew, the off-going crew, about what they did, if they need a certain amount of supplies or if they used anything big. We check our trucks. After that, dailies include dusting, vacuuming, cleaning the bathrooms. We have a schedule for that.
Paramedics can be called out during any second of any day. This is definitely not your typical 9-to-5 job.
We work at Kelly's schedule where we work 24 hours on, and out of 5 days, we work a day, off a day, work 24, off for 24, work our last day of our rotation, which is another 24-hour shift, and then we're off for 4 days. So we are away from our families for 24 hours. We're open 7 days a week. We don't close. We work holidays. We work our children's birthdays, soccer games.
Well, it takes a little bit of time to get used to. When you're working 24 hours, you don't have your normal 9-to-5 job. So you're constantly ready to go on calls. So at a moment's notice, it's, you jump from 0 to 60 in a second.
Trust and camaraderie between paramedics can make for lasting professional friendships.
I honestly think that I am a better paramedic with my partner Greg after being partners with him for so long, because I feel like I am the right hand and he's the left hand, or vice versa. And you do have to rely heavily on each other so much.
We're to the point that we've been working together so long that we don't actually have to talk on calls. We kind of know what each other wants to do, or we talk it out prior to getting the call, whether it be I'm taking airway and she's doing IVs or things like that. It's, I mean, that's really all you have is that trust with your partner.
You may be surprised that paramedics at Base 15 find time to relax in between high-octane call-outs.
Since we have 2 trucks here at this station, we hang out together a lot. I don't know, we just hang out, have conversations about maybe about a bad call or about the calls you ran.
You know, sometimes we just sit around, we'll have lunch together. We try to do things as a family, you know, basically as a family, sit down for family meals is what the 4 of us call it. We also will play games if we have downtime. Sometimes we, depending on what movie's out in the red box, we like to sit down and watch movies.
Downtime also gives paramedics a chance to train and keep up with the latest medical technologies. But it's times where a call goes south that pose the biggest daily challenge for this crew.
You know, I think as paramedics, I think if you ask any of us, you know, we've trained and we work to get a good outcome on any situation, and sometimes those outcomes aren't the best. And I think it's hard for us because we work so hard and we put our heart into everything that we do with our patients, that if there's an outcome that's not the greatest, it's kind of hard. And that's when we come back and we actually can talk amongst each other, and it's comforting to know that everybody at this base knows exactly what you're going through.
Next time you run into a paramedic around town, thank them for the vital services that they provide our community. Because they never get a break from providing emergency care to patients, even if that means they miss their child's birthday.
The holiday season is a time of celebration and festivities, but it also brings along an increased risk of accidents. Our next story will share some tips that can ensure your whole family stays safe and injury-free throughout the season.
The winter holiday season is a festive and eventful time of year, full of celebrations and family get-togethers. Now on O'Fallon Matters, we're going to bring you a few tips to help you and your family stay safe this holiday season. Your tree might not be as big as ours here at City Hall, but you can follow the same safety guidelines. Check your lights before you put them on the tree for any fraying cords or loose connections. And when it's time to plug in, make sure you don't overload your outlet. Outlets like this cause over 5,300 house fires every year. And while you might love the glow of Christmas lights all night long, it's not a good idea to leave them running. So next time you leave the house or head to bed, make sure you unplug your Christmas tree. People love decorating their homes for the holidays, and nothing says Christmas cheer like putting up a few twinkling lights. But safety should still be your top priority. When you're shopping for lights, make sure that you choose outdoor lights, as indoor-only lights can sometimes short out and cause a fire. And when it's time to hit the roof, make sure that you choose the right ladder for the job. You want to place it on solid, level ground, and you want to make sure that you never stand on the top shelf. And when it's time to move, step down and move the ladder. Never overreach. Following these tips will help you stay a lot safer while you're decorating your home. This season also brings along more trips for holiday shopping and family get-togethers, but bad weather can spoil your trip. You should always account for rain and snow when driving, and give yourself a few extra minutes to reach your destination. And remember, you can't stop other drivers from racing off to do some last-minute shopping, but you can keep your speed down and steer clear of trouble. And after a Christmas party or New Year's toast, have a designated driver in mind to help you get home safely. The roads are packed with drivers every year, and following these tips can help you get home safe in one piece. So there you have it. Keep these simple tips in mind during this magical time of year and encourage others to stay safe as well. You'll be giving the gift of safety to yourself, your family, and your friends this holiday season.
Thanks for joining us today. If you have a good story idea, let us know. You can email us at OFallonTV@OFallon.mo.us. Always remember to give back to your community because O'Fallon matters to all of us.